going to get started. Are you all good? Okay, we're going to reconvene the Seminole County Board of County Commissions meeting, afternoon session. It's 1:30 in the afternoon. We are going to move to the public hearing sequence of our meeting today, and I will ask the county attorney to read the rules of public participation into the record, please.
Good afternoon. While the board welcomes comments from all persons with an interest in these proceedings, Florida law requires that the board's decision in quasi-judicial actions be supported by competent, substantial evidence presented to the board during the hearings on the applications. Competent, substantial evidence is evidence as a reasonable mind would accept as adequate to support a conclusion. There must be a factual basis in the record to support opinion testimony from both expert and non-expert witnesses. Persons presenting testimony may rely on factual information that they present, that is presented by county staff, that the applicant presented, or on factual information included in the county staff report to support their testimony. All persons who present written materials to the board for consideration must ensure that a copy of such materials is provided to the clerk for inclusion in the board's record of proceedings and official minutes.
Thank you very much. I'll look for
Motion to approve publication.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing none. It is unanimous. Has any commissioner received any ex parte communication? If so, if you can identify the nature of that and how it's been submitted.
I have, it's been, I'm sorry.
Commissioner?
I have, it's been submitted electronically, and it was a phone call concerning the Trinity Prep.
Commissioner Lockhart?
I, too, had a phone call regarding Trinity Prep and have an email on item 33, and those have been submitted electronically, and I'll hand them in.
Mr. Chairman, I had a phone call as well as meetings in my office that's been submitted through digital format.
Very good.
Mine have been submitted electronically as well, and mine was on item 34.
Mine was Trinity Prep, I'm sorry.
Mine has been submitted electronically, and that was a phone call also on item 34. Seeing that, we will move forward to item 33. It is Sanford Avenue Small Scale Future Land Use Map Amendment, item 2023-1486, presented by Ms. Joy Giles. Ms. Giles?
Yes, good afternoon. Joy Giles, Principal Planner for the Planning and Development Division. The applicant is requesting approval of the Sanford Avenue Small Scale Future Land Use Map Amendment from public, quasi-public to medium-density residential on approximately 0.37 acres located on the east side of Sanford Avenue, north of South Ronald Reagan Boulevard. The purpose of the future land use request is to correct the inconsistency between the future land use and the existing R1 single-family dwelling zoning classification in order to construct 2 single-family homes. The existing public, quasi-public future land use is reserved for public and private recreation, as well as educational and public safety facilities. Private residential development is not permitted under that land use. However, the requested medium-density residential future land use does support the existing R1 zoning. The subject site is comprised of 2 vacant residential lots within an antiquated plat that was approved in 1954 prior to our subdivision regulations. The 2 individual lots do not currently meet the R1 zoning district's minimum lot size of 8,400 square feet or a minimum lot width of 70 feet at building line. However, both lots are parcels of record and are eligible for a building permit. The site is located within the City of Altamont Springs Utility Service Area. Whoops. That one. There we go. Apologize. Within the City of Altamont Springs Utility Service Area for water. However, sewer lines are not currently available. Both lots will be required to connect to public utilities for water, and septic will be utilized for sewer or for sewage. The requested medium-density residential future land use is consistent with the Seminole County Comprehensive Plan and is compatible with the surrounding trend of development in the area, which also consists of medium-density residential and the R1 zoning classification. In compliance with the Seminole County Land Development Code, the applicant did conduct a community meeting on December 14th, 2023. On February 7th of 2024, the Planning and Zoning Commission Board met and voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request. Staff requests that the Board of County Commissioners adopt the ordinance enacting a small-scale future land use map amendment from public, quasi-public to medium-density residential as requested. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Childs. Real quick, if anybody's here to speak on any of these items this afternoon, if you would fill out one of these forms you can find in the lobby, get them to the clerk right here. Ms. Dominique will raise her hand, so we'll have that ready for you to speak. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, is the applicant here and desire to make any kind of statement? Ma'am? I do not. Okay. Very good. Then we will go to public input.
None.
We see none. We will close the public hearing. This is Commissioner Lockhart's district. Commissioner, your pleasure.
Commissioner Constantine, I think would like to be recognized.
Okay. Mr. Constantine.
Thank you. I just have one question, because it is across the street from some wetlands and flood-prone areas, and also it looks like it has some water on there. Have we just made sure that everything is okay when it comes to that and in the flood zone area? I'm reading here, but I just wanted to put it on the record.
Yes, and at time of building permit, the applicant will be required to provide a survey delineating any wetlands and floodplain that may be on the property, but I do not believe that there are any located on the property.
And I also do understand that it is required because of the location, that it would only have enhanced nutrient-reduced septic
correct.
system.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Wish they could be in sewer.
Any
but-
future inquiries? Commissioner Lockhart?
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to adopt the ordinance enacting a small-scale future land use map amendment from public, quasi-public to medium-density residential on approximately .37 acres located on the east side of Sanford Avenue, approximately 800 feet north of South Ronald Reagan Boulevard.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Lockhart, second by Commissioner Constantine. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, carries unanimously. Thank you, Ms. Childs. Next item up is item 34, Trinity Prep Special Exception. Item number 2024/0099, and this is Hillary Payden.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Hillary Payden, Planning and Development. This item is a request for a special exception to construct an additional educational building at an existing private school in the A1 zoning district located on 90.19 acres, located on the south side of Aloma Avenue at Trinity Prep Lane. The applicant requests to construct a 30,000 square foot science building at an existing private school established in 1968. The additional educational building will be 2 stories and 35 feet height, and will serve the additional student population, the existing student population, of 888 students. Prior, the school did not have a special exception approval in Seminole County, having been originally established in 1968. Therefore, with this expansion, special exception approval with a development order is required. The development order establishes the maximum student population consistent with all other special exceptions for schools in Seminole County. The proposed development order includes a maximum student population threshold of 888 students. However, the applicant is requesting a maximum student population of 1,200 students. Staff does not object to the modification of the development order to allow for a maximum of 1,200 students if the board approves. Pursuant to Section 30.124 of the Land Development Code, the Board of County Commissioners may permit the use of the school, upon making finding of fact that the use is consistent with the general zoning category and plan of the A1 zoning district, is not highly intrusive in nature, is compatible with the concept of low-density rural land use, and has access to urban services. A student population maximum is needed to establish the intensity of the use to help demonstrate compliance with the code special exception criteria. The school's property and the proposed structure straddles the Orange County and Seminole County line. 34.87 acres of the 90-acre property is in Seminole County, and 55.32 acres of it lies in Orange County. 22,140 square feet of the 30,000 square foot proposed structure is on the Seminole County side, and the remaining 7,860 square feet lies in Orange County. An interlocal agreement came before you on the consent agenda this morning, allowing Seminole County to process the permitting of the entire structure. Orange County required an amendment to their special exception approval in Orange County to add the additional educational building. The structure will be constructed in an existing parking lot, which will remove 56 parking spaces, and the school's Orange County special exception is requiring them to replace 35 of the parking spaces based on their code's parking requirements, utilizing the school's existing student population of 888 students. Most of the parking spaces will be on the Seminole County side of the campus. The school exceeds our parking requirement of 1 spot per 4 seats in the auditorium. The auditorium has 800 seats, which requires 200 parking spots. The school will have 317 parking spots, which is within the Land Development Code requirements. In compliance with the Land Development Code's community meeting procedures, the applicant conducted a community meeting on July 13th of 2023. At the Planning and Zoning meeting on January 10th, 2024, they voted unanimously to recommend the Board of County Commissioners approve the special exception and associated development order for the science building without staff's condition for a student enrollment cap. Staff requests that the Board of County Commissioners approve the special exception and associated development order for an additional educational building at an existing private school in the A1 zoning district on 90.19 acres located on the south side of Aloma Avenue at Trinity Prep Lane. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Payton. Any questions for staff? Seeing none, is the applicant here and desire to make a presentation? Welcome, sir. Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Rick Baldacci with AvCon, 5555 East Michigan Street, Orlando, Florida. And I do have a presentation, but I don't think we're going to need it. I just have a couple items to clarify here. Well, first, I do want to say, I want to thank the staff. I mean, this was very complicated, straddling the county lines, going through both counties and trying to get everyone working together, and your staff was very helpful, and now they've allowed us to concurrently review some of these permits together. So you guys have been very helpful. We do want to recognize, Hillary and Rebecca. They've been extremely helpful. And we are good with the recommendation as long as they agree and you agree with that 1,200 cap. The development order right now has a lower cap, which is actually their existing population. They'd like some ability to grow without having to come back to you. Obviously, if they build a building or something like that, they will have to come back. So we're good with the 1,200. The headmaster's here also showing that the school is represented, that the 1,200 is good. The other item is, as Hillary mentioned, Orange County required some additional parking spaces. Those happen to be in Seminole County. I did check with Orange County yesterday. They are okay with those not being paved. Those unpaved parking spaces actually exist today. So we would like to request, I don't know if it needs to be your approval, but just confirmation that those can remain grass and that we don't have to pave any more of your county. So with those two conditions, we are good, and we're here for questions and reserve time in case there's anyone from the public.
Sure, we'll give you an opportunity for rebuttal if necessary. Thank you, Mr. Baldacci. Is there anybody here from the private to speak? Anybody here from the public? I'm sorry.
No, sir.
Nobody here, okay. Well, I do have a question of staff. I don't know who the best person is. This parking issue that was just discussed by the representative, I wasn't aware that was an issue or some concern. Is staff okay with what was just stated?
Yes, for the record, Rebecca Hammock, Development Services Director. So regarding the type of surface for the parking, so normally we do require any commercial uses to have paved parking, but if it's a condition of the development order for the special exception, then that's something that Public Works Engineering can consider during the site plan process.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
So, one second. I'm going to close the public hearing portion. Commissioner Delary, this is your district.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The reason why I think it's appropriate to put grass or a stabilized surface where those new parking spots are, because it's so close to the lake. If you look at the map, it's actually right against the lakefront. Even though there's drainage going to those retention ponds, there will be some sheet flow eventually into that lake, and I think it'd be more appropriate not to put pavement around that lake area. And it's, from my standpoint, it's more of an environmental issue than not.
Yes, understood, thank you. It's not that I don't disagree, I want to make sure, it was never brought up by staff, it was brought up by the representative, and I wanted to make sure staff had it on the radar, they were okay with that, and it sounds like it's actually going to go through another step through Public Works. But I don't disagree. Commissioner Lockhart?
Is it possible for us to put that intent in the development order rather than wait for staff to make that decision when the time may come? Because
I was going to.
Actually, I don't want to step on our county attorney's toes, but I would, if that is the request of the board, I would do that now, because when it goes through site plan review and all that, and if that's a requirement, and then there's a variance to it or something, that'd have to come back to the board.
Okay.
Great. Okay, any further inquiry? Commissioner Lockhart?
And Commissioner Delara, you're the district commissioner, so if you have more questions, I'll certainly defer.
No, I don't. In fact, I'm just, whenever the questions are done, I'm willing to make a motion.
Okay. One of the things that was highlighted during this process is whether or not we have a requirement to put a cap on enrollment in our schools. And it has been, I'm reading through the P&Z minutes and talking to the applicant, there seems to be a different definition of the word required. And who is something, is this a practice that we have now come to say is required? Because I think unless something has changed, the last time I talked to the county attorney, there is nothing in any of our codes that required us to cap enrollment.
Is that a question for the county attorney?
Yeah, I just want to
Well,
make sure
I would defer to Ms. Hammock on that, because that was my response to you when we briefed yesterday, is that I didn't find anything in the code requiring the parking cap, but I believe Development Services interprets the parking cap as part of the analysis of intensity and how the intensity goes.
Well, I'm not talking about parking, I'm talking about enrollment.
I'm sorry, I said enrollment. I mean, I said parking. I meant enrollment.
Enrollment, okay.
Sorry.
That's correct. So there are special exception criteria in the code. So a school is a special exception use in the A1 zoning district. So it's not an outright permitted use. Has to go through the special exception process and has to demonstrate compliance with the special exception criteria. And so in order to do that, you have to show that it's compatible with the surrounding area. You have to show its impact on the infrastructure. We have to make sure that the infrastructure there is to support the use. And in order to define the intensity of the use for schools, we've always required a student population cap, because depending on the size of the property, depending on the size of depending on the location of the property, will depend, in the size of the school, will depend on whether it's an appropriate use for that specific location.
And are applicants provided that information as a part of the process, so they're aware of that from the beginning?
They usually should be. In this case, I believe it may have been an oversight because it was an existing school, and so it had been there since the late 60s, so the population cap didn't come up until, unfortunately, at the P&Z stage of the process. But we had to be consistent because all of our other schools that require special exception approval have a student population cap, like Masters Academy, Galileo, One School of the Arts, City Church, Orangewood Christian School, Champion Prep School, and the Rock Academy, just as an example.
I remember the Galileo one, for sure. Okay, I just wanted, since that was definitely a point of discrepancy, I wanted to make sure we had that opportunity for conversation.
Sure.
So I'd like to expand that conversation.
Okay, before you make a motion, I'm going to want to have it inquiry, but go ahead.
I'm not going to make a motion just yet, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to
Great.
expound on that conversation, but thank you, Commissioner. 1,200, how do we come up with that number? Should it be higher?
So I will say, just for the record, Orange County actually does have a cap on the student population of 888. I confirmed that with Orange County staff. But of course, their student cap theirs is based on their parking calculation. Our parking calculation is different. Ours is the 1 per 4 seats in the auditorium. So the 1,200 was requested by the applicant, and that's based on the auditorium seats. And when we look at the amount of stacking room that they have on the site, we look at the existing improvements on Aloma, staff does not have any objection to the 1,200.
Because you could do the 888 on the Orange County side and not have a limit on the Seminole side.
You could.
Oh, boy.
You could do that.
Yeah, except the parking
Which I'm
on the
not
Seminole
opposed to.
County side is meeting the requirement on the Orange County side.
I can't help that.
Yeah.
Well, and we do want to play friendly with our neighbors.
I
to the
understand that,
south.
Mr. Chairman. I'm just trying to make
Commissioner
sure
Hurd?
that we're treating the applicant fairly.
Commissioner Hurd, did I see your hand?
You did see my hand. And so when I was briefed on this last week by staff, I objected to the cap just because they didn't have a cap before, our rules have changed, et cetera, right? Sounding like where we're all at. And just because and at that point, we weren't sure whether there was an Orange County cap or not. And now I need to understand how that works. So is our 1,200 sort of null and void, because the lowest of the two, I'd really like to understand what the impact of this is.
So if we modify our development order for 1,200 and the school wishes to exceed the 888, they wouldn't have to come in and amend our development order, but they would be required likely to go back to Orange County and amend the development order with them. So they would handle that separately from our process.
So I think there's, from the applicant has your hand up?
Thanks, Rebecca. So Rebecca Wilson, 215 North Eola Drive. Just to that, Commissioner Herr, so Orange County does not adopt special exceptions with a development order. And I think we're struggling a little bit we also have two systems. So there is no development order in Orange County. There is a special exception with a site plan stapled to it. And the backup for approval of that site plan included a parking analysis that included the current student population at 888. So there is no explicit maximum number in Orange County. Now, implicitly, they may say, well, we considered this when we were doing your parking calculations. On the other hand, our parking isn't in Orange County, right? But if and when we exceeded that amount and Orange County said something, then maybe we go back and change our special exception in Orange County. We just wouldn't have to come back here. And candidly, look, I've already tried to figure out how you get out of one county and into another, okay? I mean, and we've also talked to the school, and we're like, just don't build another building on both of them at the same time. So moving forward, we are going to try to figure out a way to make this easier on you all and make this easier on Trinity, because I think we all believe it's a great school doing great things and want to encourage them to, responsibly continue to serve both Orange and Seminole County.
Thank you. So I'm going to stick with my original position with regard to this. I don't see any sense to us putting a cap on this on top of what already exists.
I don't either.
Anyone else? Commissioner Lockhart again.
I just have a question, because I've just put my school board hat on for a moment and thinking about counts. And we would do 3 counts throughout the year. And so this is probably a question for the headmaster. When do you do your counts?
Come on down, sir, and give us your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Byron Lawson. My address is 5745 Hubbard Field Way. It's in Winter Park, 32792.
So when you do your student enrollment count, is it at the same time every year? Is it at the end of the year? Is it at the beginning of the, when do you do your count?
We report to the board at the beginning of the school year, approximately 3 weeks in. Things seem to settle down about that point, and we have a good idea of what enrollment's going to be over the course of the year. That does not preclude the school or students from moving out of the school or being separated.
Mm-hmm. Or into the school.
Or into the school.
Right. So counts, I know, fluctuate throughout the year on any given day. And so I just wanted to get a feel from you how that enrollment cap impacts your ability to do your reporting and to comply?
The cap inhibits us in terms of growth. We are a 2-division school. The Master's Academy, which is younger on a smaller physical plant, is a 4-division school. So if we sought to add lower school or PK to be more competitive, the market has shown that PK through 12 is really where parents want to be, not 6 through 12. And so for those reasons, I would seek the ability to do what we do now, provide a great education for kids, a wonderful place for families, and a school that is considered a leader on a global platform. But I also understand where I live, and we want to take this next step with the county to provide a great education for the kids we have right now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Clausen.
Mr. Chairman?
You ready to make a motion, or are you
I want
inquiring?
to ask the attorney one more question.
Got Commissioner Constantine before you. Commissioner Constantine?
Well,
Mr.
I
Lawson,
think
right?
the headmaster, no, you don't have to come back, sir. I just did a little research after the phone calls that I made, and I don't believe that in the nearly 50 years that you've ever exceeded 950. I don't, to put a number, 1,200, whatever we put on, I don't think it's really, important, because I don't think they're ever going to reach that level or want to get that high. But I just wanted to put that out there, because 950, I think, was at one time the highest that they'd ever gotten. Great school, by the way.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, it's a great school. I've heard so many compliments from parents. I've heard so many compliments about people, the individual students, after they've gone through that school and went on to college or get a career. It is phenomenal what your classes have done. It's amazing. But anyway, the question I have for the attorney, do we have to put a cap? Because I'd rather not.
I don't see it as being an affirmative requirement in your code, no.
Okay. That's what I need to hear. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make, sorry.
I've got an inquiry.
Okay, go right ahead.
First, I'm trying not to repeat everything that's been said, but, and I think this is more directed towards the county manager. I've looked at this very closely. I realize Galileo had a cap. I was here when that occurred. I sat on the private organization that was the search committee for the Masters Academy, so I knew how that was impacted. This seems to me to be an example, perhaps, of something that should not be at a staff level. I believe the staff should bring us the evidence, should bring us their best argument of why or why not there should be some kind of cap. But I think that's a legislative decision based on everything I've looked at in our code and reviewed. And so I would just ask that you look into that and get with our staff and find out what is the best method for us to get beyond that in a process, so that when these applicants are moving through the process, they're either not blindsided at the last minute, or a provision that is, quite frankly, open for interpretation by our staff. And I'm not saying our staff has not interpreted something right or wrong, but this is just another example of, I'm not sure that's the latitude we want to leave in a position of staff, if it's not in our code. Now, if it needs to be in a code, let's put it in a code. But I think to be efficient and fair, an applicant should have all the rules available to them before they start the process, so they know what they've got to do, so that not halfway or three-quarters of the way through it, we have, oh, by the way, you have to do this. And I understand some of that's interpretation. There's going to be those chances and issues and exceptions. But at the end of the day, I think this is one that we probably should look at. So thank you very much. All right, Commissioner Delary?
On the development order, item number 3D, which says number of students shall not exceed 888, I'd like to strike out D totally, so there's no cap. Also, per their request, the additional parking that's required by Orange County, that it can be either grass or stabilized earth, and I want that in the DO. With those two changes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the Associated Development Order for special exception for the additional educational building at the existing private school in an A1 zoning district on 90.19 acres located on the south side of Aloma Avenue at Trinity Prep Lane, and the two changes as I just outlined.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Carries unanimous. Thank you all very much. We'll give these folks just a second to get out while the county attorney is called for a report. Okay, Ms. LaTorre, county attorney's report.
Well, for my report today, I would like the board to indulge me just for a moment while I recognize Deputy County Attorney Paul Chipak. Today is his last Board of County Commissioners meeting. Paul is retiring. He started with the county 9 years ago on February 29th, Leap Day, and he will be retiring this week on February 29th, Leap Day.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Fun fact, he made that work. So, Paul will be missed sorely by my office for his calm, even-tempered manner, his institutional knowledge and expertise in land use and development matters, but mostly for his mentorship and his kindness to the other attorneys. His door is always open. He's always willing to be a sounding board for everyone else in the office. And on a personal note, I wanted to thank Paul for his patience and his graciousness as I started about 6 months ago. He was very patient with me. I peppered him with questions constantly, and as I was getting acquainted with the county and the county attorney's office, and he was nothing but helpful, and again, had the patience of a saint. Paul is retiring as a deputy county attorney, but as you know, Paul stepped up and was your acting county attorney last year as the county searched for a new county manager and county attorney. I know my staff is here today to help us honor Paul and wish him well in his retirement. We will be celebrating Paul tomorrow afternoon at the little open house in the County Services Building from 1 to 3. Come get some cake and wish him well. Paul, thank you very much for everything. Congratulations and best wishes to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for allowing me that time.
Absolutely. Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Well, I will say, Paul, you'll be missed. Thank you. My first interaction with Paul, and it was probably about the time he came on board here, was when I was a planning and zoning commissioner. And he didn't have long hair then, by the way. But he was very gracious and very helpful to a new commissioner in helping me find my way with code and all the things we have to consider in land use and special exceptions and all those things. So I learned a great deal from you, Paul. I know that sometimes I can be very direct and short, and there's no ill about that, just the way I am. But you truly will be missed, and you truly have instilled in me a great deal of knowledge when it comes to land use. So thank you very much, and I wish you the best in whatever endeavors you pursue in retirement.
I will not be there tomorrow to celebrate with you, Paul, but I happen to know where you hang out at some of the finest establishments in New Smyrna Beach. And I plan to meet up with you over there and do a little hang off the record, because now you can do stuff off the record. How fabulous is that? But I appreciate all that you did to get me up to speed. I felt like I was thrown into the deep end, and I will never forget that first meeting that lasted till midnight when somebody was digging a hole over the Geneva bubble or something like that. And you were exceptionally patient and very, very helpful. So it's been my pleasure.
Paul, to say thank you doesn't really go far enough. Your professionalism, your mannerism is just amazing. You've been a class act all these years. You've been just phenomenal, and we and I cannot thank you enough. You've been able to help us at so many different levels and step up to the plate when we needed help with the county attorney's office, and it is truly amazing. You will be missed, and hopefully you'll be in touch with us every now and then, because I do consider you a friend of this county, and I wish you well. Godspeed.
Congratulations. How much kayaking, paddleboarding, surfing will we be doing?
As much as I can.
Enjoy it. Thank you.
And that's the point. You don't look old enough to retire. But I see you've been getting prepared for over a year now with that hair, so good luck, Paul.
Very good. Okay, next up is the county manager's report and any staff presentations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. No staff presentations, but I just want to say one fun fact before you can indulge me on myself. But I started my career with Paul. Gosh, back in 1996, he did not know who I was back then. I was a green management and budget analyst with Orange County, and he was in the county attorney's office, and doesn't know that how big of an impact that he had made on me as a young professional. But he, just by his calm and coolness, just what Ms. Latour had said, is really made an impact on me. And actually, when I became the county manager, believe it, over a year ago, he helped me a lot on the transition into this county. So I thank you, Paul, for that. But just so the only report I have, I made it a year. Last February 21st of 2023 is when my first day here. So I wanted to thank the board and, of course, our staff for really doing the NDOC with me and letting me feel my way through the county. What the commitment that I have to you all, I hope you feel and know and you see. But I also just want to thank you for allowing me to make some adjustments where I needed to make adjustments, looking at the gaps where I needed to see where the gaps are. I do know we have some challenges ahead of us, but we also have great opportunities with that. So just thank you for making my first year feel like 10, but but it is very rewarding, though. I'd say, and I've told this to a few people that I have spoken to lately, and they said, how's your first year? And I was like, I think everything happens in this world for a reason, but there is a reason I came here to Seminole County. There's a reason that you all chose me to be here in Seminole County. I am a Seminole County resident now. I'm a constituent of Commissioner
What district?
District 4. I'm a constituent of District 4, and it's so nice to only have a 15-minute drive to work in the morning. So, but I just want to, this is the best job that I have had in my career, and I've built up for that. So I just want to thank you, thank the board, and thank our directors and our staff for that, and especially Ms. Johnson, as she's made the transition very nice and enduring for me. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Very good. Next, we will move on to our district commissioners' reports. And before we get into that, I would like to ask if Commissioner Lockhart is willing to do so, since she's going to be first up. Before you get into your commission report or your district report, can you share with us today what happened on behalf of the citizens of Seminole County and the federal court system?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Commissioners, as you know, during my tenure as chairman, the Mike Shirley trial started in the federal court system, and I attended, I believe, every day but one day of that trial in person, and I learned a lot. And the sentencing for that, and as you all know, Mike Shirley was convicted of the crimes of which he was accused, and the sentencing process started last week, and it rolled over into today. So that is why I missed this morning's meeting. Thank you for your indulgence in that. If it's okay, I would like to read the letter that this board agreed to send to Judge Presnell in the Florida Middle District that Kate Latour, our county attorney, was kind enough to draft with all of our input, because the judge referenced this today in his sentencing and read parts of it in the courtroom as a part of the basis for his decision. So is that okay if I read that out loud?
Please do.
Okay, so this is to the Honorable Judge Presnell. regarding United States versus Michael Shirley, case number 22-CR00123. As the elected representatives of the citizens of Seminole County, Florida, the Seminole County Board of County Commissioners, otherwise known as the Board, is providing this statement for the court's consideration in reference to the sentencing of Michael Shirley, the defendant. The Seminole County Attorney's Office previously submitted a written victim impact statement to the court in anticipation of the defendant's original sentencing date last August. However, the board feels it imperative to reiterate that the criminal offenses of which the defendant was found guilty have had lasting effects on the county and its citizenry. Specifically, the defendant's criminal dealings with the former tax collector have eroded the public's trust of its elected officials in Seminole County. Although the board does not and did not ever maintain legal oversight or authority over the county's independent constitutional officers, as this saga unfolded, constituents continually looked to the board to do something. Like its constituents, however, the board had to look to the criminal justice system and must rely on it to ensure that individuals who chose to break the law and steal from the taxpayers are held accountable for their actions. As such, the board respectfully asks that the court hold the defendant accountable for the crimes of which he was convicted. The defendant breached the public's trust when he inflated the cost of the so-called services performed for the former tax collector, when he maintained an ongoing business relationship with the former tax collector for which very little, if any, actual work was performed, and when he paid the former tax collector kickback payments in return. As reflected in the county's declaration of victim losses, the defendant's wrongful conduct yielded payment of more than $500,000 in county funds for contractual payments and inflated prices. As stewards of taxpayer funds, the board encourages the court to impose a sentence that communicates to the citizens of Seminole County that the criminal acquisition and expenditure of taxpayer dollars is considered a serious offense and carries severe penal consequences. The after effects of the defendant's criminal conduct still echo throughout the county and are the subject of ongoing public discourse in the press, on social media platforms, and around the community. The board seeks a sentence that reflects the egregious nature of the defendant's breach of the public trust. It is with the utmost respect for the court and the judicial process that the board submits this statement. Thank you for your consideration. And I will tell you, the judge, Judge Presnell, who I have watched now in action throughout this case, I think this spoke to exactly what he was already thinking. He made some wonderful comments about the importance of ethics in local government and the public trust, and how citizens day after day see government eroding from the inside out, and how important it is that those who are in elected positions and appointed positions be held to the highest of ethical conduct and the expectations. So Mr. Shirley was sentenced to 87 months in federal prison. He has another 2 years of supervised probation. Restitution was ordered for $537,000 and change to the county. There were some other things that were added that he will have to do when he is out, once he completes his sentence, in terms of probation requirements that the judge added to that. I will tell you, the judge also said that he has never, in his 30-some-odd years of being on the bench, seen a defendant so completely lacking in remorse or acknowledgement of any type of wrongdoing. Mr. Shirley submitted, and I have it here for all of you, this is public record, he submitted an 8-page letter to the judge along with a couple of character witness statements from people who don't live in Seminole County or the state of Florida, so that ought to tell you something. In addition to his written elocution, I think it's called, is it? Yeah, whatever the phrase is, that when the defendant gets an opportunity to say, I'm throwing myself on the mercy of the court, I'm so sorry for what I did, please consider this in your sentencing. That's not in here at all. In fact, it wasn't even stated in person. He has made it clear that he plans to appeal. His attorney that was appointed most recently for him by the court has already put in to be removed as his attorney, and that was granted for whatever the next process is. He was not remanded into custody immediately. So the judge said that once the Bureau of Prisons determines where he will serve his time, he has 10 days from the date of that notification to produce himself. Former Commissioner John Horan was in the gallery, along with members of the media, and it was my perception, based on some of the comments that were made by Mr. Shirley, that there's still some ongoing activity with Mr. Greenberg that people are paying very close attention to, which kind of is disconcerting, because I know all of us would like to put all of this behind us. But it was clear in the conversation throughout the entire proceeding and through the sentencing today that the ripple effects include others who maybe were not brought through the criminal system, but perhaps a civil course of action may be more appropriate for our board to consider at some time.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Lockhart, for that.
Absolutely.
Appreciate your taking your time to be down there and monitor that on our behalf and deliver the letter and so forth, so thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So on to my district report.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to do a shout out to our Public Works team that was working on cleaning up a drainage ditch on Bougainvillea Drive in Winter Park. It is not often that citizens take the time to write an email to the District Commission office saying, wow, they did such a great job. But we got one of those. And so kudos to our crew and Stormwater for that. Thank you to all of you who attended the Seminole State Dream Gala this last weekend. It was a wonderful event. It always is, raising funds for students for scholarships who were literally changing the futures of their lives and their families' lives by allowing them an opportunity to pursue further education. Is such an honor for us to all be a part of that. This week, I have on my calendar a meeting for the canvassing board right before the State of the County at 8:30 in the morning. That is still on my calendar. There was a possibility that for some reason the supervisor of elections might want to cancel that, but I don't have confirmation of that. So I will let you all know. But I will be at the State of the County, and I'm looking forward to being there. Commissioner Zembauer, I know the work that goes into preparing that, and our team, all of you, I know everyone that's done these videos. They've just done such a great job. So thank you to everyone involved in that. On March 5th, I believe there is a rescue outreach mission event in Lake Mary, and Commissioner Herr probably has more information about that, but I volunteered to be a pizza maker at that event, so I don't know if anybody else is making pizza on the 5th, but
Yeah, we all are.
I think that it was such a clever concept. And then on March 8th, the sheriff will be hosting the faith-based quarterly meeting celebrating Women's History Month. So looking forward to that. And that is the extent of my report.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Commissioner Herr, District 5.
So the pizza event is at the Bronx House in Lake Mary, and the Bronx House is actually contributing 100% of the proceeds that day to Rescue Outreach Mission, which is really unusual. They have asked some celebrities to step up, and I didn't get asked to make pizza, but I think I might be bussing tables that day. I might need to check into that assignment. And of course, I'll be dragging with me my spouse, who's always super supportive of doing this stuff. But yeah, if for everybody that goes there that day, just know that you're helping the homeless folks in our community put a head in a bed, and more important than that, get a chance at changing the trajectory of their life through the assistance that's offered at Rescue Outreach Mission. Big shout out to Christian and the entire crew of staff that we brought out to Bookertown to the community center to investigate the building and the possibilities for the building there. We don't know the results of that yet, but more shall be coming at some point. It is all that I promised that it would be, including spots in the kitchen floor where you have to actually be held up by the linoleum, layers of linoleum that are on top of each other so that you don't actually go through the floor. And a shout out to the citizens out there that helped us with that and to their persistence on figuring out how to improve their community. And then another shout out, and this is my last comment, and this, I'll pick up where you left off, Darren, and say, thank you for, you said thank you to us for letting you change things, and you're welcome, and thank you to you for changing things. So when I was out on the campaign trail the first time, I truly was getting beat up for stuff that I had nothing to do with, and that's an interesting phenomena. But the first phone call I made this time, I got exceptional compliments about changes that have been made, and that's to Mr. Jose Gomez out here, to the good work that you've done regarding a specific situation, and just changing the way we look at things. So that fresh eyes to the mix is a really big deal. Thank you for doing what we asked you to do, and that's actually, shaking it up a little bit. And a huge shout out to the team that's been here for a long time and being able to look at things a little bit differently, because we brought fresh eyes in to say, hey, well, what if we think about something different? We are really doing a great job at that, and that's what's going to change the trajectory of the county to align with the growth that the county has experienced and what we're about to experience, and with new expectations of citizens today. They are different than they were 25 years ago, and management styles have to be different than they were 25 years ago, because the workforce is different than it was 25 years ago. So we're starting to look at this differently, and it's all good stuff. So thank you for that. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Herr. And by the way, if you think you're not going to get blamed for something you didn't have anything to do with on your second campaign.
I'm just reveling in
Just saying.
This was pretty cool. This was pretty cool.
Commissioner Delory.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did tour the existing company that did a major expansion in the Loma area. It's called ITI Engineering. They do a lot of data transfer and data storage for our fighter planes, and it's truly phenomenal, the facility they have built. If you get a chance, please tour it. It's quite phenomenal. And I also toured Howell Creek. I want to thank Marie Lackey, Tony Nelson, and Ted Holmes giving me the tour of Howell Creek and all the projects that they have along the creek, as well as, in particular, the creek that is at Tuscola Road. A lot of work's gone into that, and I was amazed of all the different erosions that have taken place that is being addressed. Also went to the MPO board luncheon reception with BEEP, which is in Lake Nona. They had a contingency of elected officials from southeast Florida, and there was a presentation about mobility and transit. And one of the things that it was interesting, we started talking about how the cities and counties work together. They all were amazed, and they all were astonished that the cities and the county work so well together. And when you talked about mobility fee, they were all up in arms, and they're so far away from passing any type of mobility fee in that part of the state. It was shocking to begin with. And then also went to the Orlando City Soccer Kickoff down in downtown Orlando, where Commissioner Constantine was. Sorry I was late showing up, but they had another prior meeting, and it's good to see the changes that are happening with Orlando City. End of my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Delory. Commissioner Constantine.
I wanted to echo, thank you, I wanted to echo the sentiment about the one-year anniversary. Again, Darren, we appreciate all the hard work and effort that you, and not only the changes that have been made, but also the staff that continues, that were here before you came, that continue to, do the solid work that's so important to make this county special in not only Central Florida, but all of the area. We are definitely, and I'm very proud to say, a premier county, not only just in this state, but throughout the United States. And a lot of people look to us as recognition of that. And that compliments those that came before you, not just, but also what you have done since then. On the 15th of February, I attended the OBJ Business of Sports, Danny did a great job. Danny Trouss did a great job as one of the members of the panel, along with folks from Orlando and the Sports Commission and other things. He really brought out the positive things that are happening and the niche that we've created for ourselves in the business of sports. So I wanted to congratulate him. I had the occasion, along with, I believe, Commissioner Delory, I don't know if anybody else did, but the Shorts Film Festival at the Ritz Center, and that was really phenomenal. Great event. Congratulations to the folks at the Ritz Theater for that. On the 21st, the Regional Planning Council, which in the past both Commissioner Lockhart and I have chaired, did their Diamond Awards in Lake Mary. This is, they had this program many years ago, and then we brought it back, and Commissioner Lockhart was part of bringing it back. And I just want to tell you that those that received the awards, congratulations, but I think there's some things that we do that we need to put out there for next year, because I don't believe that we had submitted any of our programs, and I do believe that we would have a very good chance of winning some of those things. And it is expanded to where they're going to have to move from the Lake Mary Center because it's gotten so popular now. On the 24th, we had a number of you attended the, Commissioner Lockhart, along with myself, the ribbon cutting, if you will, of the Wekiva Parkway. But on the 24th of this month, they had the Community Fest for the Parkway. We had a table there as well as a number of other, community organizations. And again, we didn't cut a ribbon, but put up a rather large marble stand from the DOT, but there was over 600 people there. It really, and this was done at Sorrento, at the trailhead, and 2 miles to one end was Orange County, 6 miles to the other end was Seminole County, and you had people from Orange, Seminole, and of course Lake County there, and it was quite an event. And I think that just from the amount of folks that came out, you could tell how excited everybody is for that parkway and what's going on. Speaking of Wekiva, the Wekiva Island, as we all know, is having their paint out this week, and it was on the front page of the paper today, which is wonderful. Just another thing that reflects the great things that happen in Seminole County, and it's all this week, and I would suggest people, if you have the chance, to go out. It's beautiful weather that we're having, and those folks just brilliant paintings of vistas that are out there. Commissioner Zimbauer, good luck on Thursday.
Thank you.
Smile once in a while.
Come on, man.
No, I'm just teasing you. Have a good. We all know that you're going to do a great job, and I'll be there and look forward to it. As many other communities, but because it's a community that I actually attended the Little League World Series back in 1984 as a city commissioner when Altamont Springs went to Williamsport. They opened their Babe Ruth Little League on the 2nd last year, the 2nd of March, this Saturday. Last year, there was over 1,200 people in attendance just for their opening of that game, and it's always an exciting event. I believe that Lake Mary is also doing their Festival of Arts this week, so I'm looking forward to that also. The Sharing Center is going to have their Good Samaritan annual luncheon and fundraiser on March 7th. And on a sad note, and I hate to end with this, but I think it's important that we chronicle this, that once again, the Sunshine Utilities had another sewage spill, 2,500 gallons that went into the Wekiva River in the Springs community. I know that our staff, DEP, and all were there on the spot. It was contained within about 4 or 5 hours, but still, it continues to just sicken me that these spills continue in that area. We had nothing to do with it. I want to make sure that everybody understands this was a private utility, but it continues to happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Constantine. Commissioner Lockhart?
Could I give 2 quick shout-outs
Absolutely,
that I
please
forgot
do.
about?
Yeah.
So first...
We got to 5:30. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, I don't want to do that to y'all. So, quick. Shout out to our Extension Services team, our volunteer master gardeners, and the vendors, and everyone who put together the Garden Expo. It was this weekend at the county's Five Points complex. It seemed to be very, very well attended. The weather was beautiful. Water conservation team was out there. Everyone that you could possibly imagine from our folks were out there talking about all of the services that we provide, and I think everybody had a really good time. I got to pet a cow, which was like my personal highlight of the day. I did post it on Facebook, so I'm not hiding it. It was just adorable. It was the cutest cow. And I asked him if he thought it would fit in the chicken coop, and he was like, no. And then the city of Sanford, same day, that afternoon, we went to Porch Fest. And if you have never been, this was our inaugural time at Porch Fest. It was the most fun. City of Sanford does a great job with events. The neighbors who endure this event, I know it's only once a year, but oh my gosh, if you live in downtown in the historic district and you happen to live next to one of the porches that a band is playing on and people are posted up in your front yard listening to that band all day long, God bless you. It takes a village, and Sanford's a great one, so shout out to them.
Amen. All good? All right, I'll move into the chairman and District 2 reports. And by the way, if you want to come out and play with the cows, let me know. You come out to District 2. We have lots of cows you could go, maybe go feed some. And I've got some constituents, actually, the cows come in and out of their homes.
46 and 415, right by the 7-Eleven. You just park there and you go right through the fence.
Well, today is National Spay Day, so we keep that in mind for celebration. Spay Day.
We're not neutering, we're just spaying. Can we have a conversation about that?
I don't make the rules, Commissioner. It's just National Spay Day. There's no indication it's National
Sounds
Spay and Neuter.
inequitable.
I'm just a messenger. Also National Strawberry Day, for those that like strawberries. And of course, Strawberry Festival is coming up in one of our neighboring communities. February 6th, I attended and met with a owner of Dot Decimal Manufacturing here in Sanford, toured that facility. If you have not had the opportunity to do so, I would suggest that you do. It's a very unique 3D printing operation. And when I was asked, it didn't take a minute or two to describe to me what the work they were doing. And I stopped him dead center and said, I'm aware of this.
Yep.
This is something my late wife was being fitted for her cancer treatment before I lost her. And the work and how it's done with information and digital coming into his facility overnight, can actually print it, get it shipped out to the medical center, and be prepared to really, really narrow down the treatment of radiation on these patients. So truly an amazing company we have right here in Sanford in our own backyard, and really doing good work there. On February 16th, I attended the medical examiner's meeting. I shared with staff some of the topics that were discussed there, and eventually that will be shared with everybody as we move forward with some decision-making processes. I've asked him to start getting that geared up so we can know where we're headed there. February 19th, I attended the dedication ceremony for Eugene Gregory Memorial Highway. Sheriff Lima and Senator Wright from Brevard, Volusia 8th District were present. This is, if you all know, that area in the story of Stetson's Corner, which is right there, where Snow Hill and or 426 and 46 come together, was named after him. But the road has now been dedicated as the Eugene Gregory Memorial Highway, who was an officer killed in the line of duty in the Geneva area. And what was very interesting about that story, after Deputy Gregory was unfortunately killed in that incident, by an individual in Geneva that had a mental health issue back at that time, to learn that his wife and the deceased sheriff deputy's wife together, without any animosity towards each other, endeavored on seeking mental health awareness and helping individuals going back that many years. You know, we talk about it all the time because it's at front and center, but to understand that they were able to put their emotions aside and work for a common goal is just fantastic. So I enjoyed that outing. February 19th, I attended the open house of the Kiwanis Club of Oviedo Winter Springs. Great high school leadership there, that great groups doing stuff at the local high schools, so that was very, very interesting and great to see these young people that are engaged in doing the community services. February 22nd, I attended my first dirty jobs with the fire department at the training center, and I will tell you, I have a whole new affinity for our firefighters. I mean, I know they have tough jobs to do, but I tell you what, you put that bunker gear on, you walk into a burning or smoking building, and that day I think the high was like 71 degrees, and I am sweating. And imagine what these men and women do when it's 95 degrees out, 90% humidity in July or August. We really have a lot of great assets out there that we should be proud of, and knowing that we have those assets and those men and women that are ready to, at a drop of a pen, respond to the need of our community. I will tell you, our community's in pretty darn good shape, pretty good hands in so many ways. February 23rd, I attended the Seminole County Prayer Breakfast, as well as some of you all did. February 24th, the Seminole State Gala. I was happy to see everyone was there from the commission. That was great. Of course, we have the Seminole State of the County coming up on the 29th. The event has been sold out. And of course, March 1st, 2024 is opening day of Eastmont Park, Babe Ruth Baseball. Commissioner Constantine alluded to that. I will be attending that as well. I'm going to first move to my appointments and then board appointments so everybody can follow. Pasha Baker will be coming off the PPAC Advisory Board, and I would appoint Mr. James Dick to a term ending 1/31/24.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Seeing none. My office will make sure that gets taken care of, and Ms. Pasha Baker will make sure that she gets a thank you for serving for the time she did. MPO Citizens Advisory Board. I am going to appoint Mr. Chris Willenberg. Ms. Mascot is rotating off and is no longer able to serve. He will serve out the rest of her term, which will end in December of 2028. That's a motion.
Second. Is that Chris Willenbring by any chance, or
Willenberg.
Okay.
Did I have a second?
Yes, we did. It was Andrew Hurd.
And then I asked to clarify the name.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Seeing none, carries unanimously. Board appointments. We have a Detective John Monk for Animal Control Board, term that would have started January 1, 24 through 12/31/25. A Chris Buchanan for the Animal Control Board, January 1, 24 through 12/31/25. Shannon Young, Committee on Aging, Housing Industry, 1/1/24 through 12/31/26. That's a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, carries unanimously. That's all I have from that aspect. I do want to just follow up on some of the comments that were made by our new county manager. Good work for this first year. I know there's been times where it's been challenging, and I know our staff has worked very close with you, and I appreciate that from all of our staff members in helping Darren feel welcome and help him find his way around the county. I also appreciate the patience of all of our employees. as with all management, new ideas come to bear, new policies and procedures of management come to bear that we don't always understand as employees, and I just appreciate all the patience of folks allowing Darren and his team to collaborate with you, as many of you have been here for 20, 30 years, in making the county a much better place. So we thank you very much, and I will get with your office on a review process based on the annual review that we should be reviewing, and circulate that to all the offices. We also have a board retreat scheduled for April 1. The county manager will, I believe, give us a time and place here, hopefully in the next week or so.
Working on it now.
Good. And the facilitator that will facilitate that. And there's a lot of things that, we'll just get up to speed on that as he brings that forward, just to put that on everybody's radar. That's all I have at this time. We will now move to public comment. I see that we have Longwood Commissioner Mr. Matt Morgan here. Matt, welcome today. Are you wishing to speak, and do we have others that wish to speak as well?
Yes, we have Mr. Morgan, and then we also have Tara Lundy and Michael Haggerty.
Okay, if you all could just get ready. Mr. Morgan, please come up, state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Longwood City Deputy Mayor Matt Morgan, 1678 Grange Circle, Longwood, 32750. Thank you all for having me. My wife would be here, Larissa, by my side, but she got called into a virtual meeting. A big passion project for us over the past 2 years. You guys know this. All 5 commissioners know this. We have a 10-year-old nonverbal autistic son by the name of Jackson. He's our galaxy. And through being young autistic parents, you start to learn in the community, many other neurodiverse families don't know the bevy of different services we really have right here in Seminole County, let alone Central Florida. So through that, we created last year Seminole County's first ever Walk for Autism Awareness and Inclusion event at Ryder Park in Longwood. And this year, we'd like to invite all 5 city commissioners, anybody that's here in attendance, anybody listening to this, April 27th, at Ryder Park. Ryder Park is R-E-I-T-E-R Park, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're going to have bounce houses, water slide, splash pad will be open, free T-shirts, first come, first serve for that. Over 40 vendors, free chicken nuggets and pizza for our kids, therapy animals, and free noise-canceling headphones. The reason for this event, again, is because of the vendors. While it's great to show a great sign of solidarity of neurodiverse, neurotypical families being for those keeping score, I'm 7 feet, so if you see me bending over, this is why. The neurotypical and neurodiverse families being able to make the walk around the park together is a great sign of solidarity. It's the functionality of the event that's most important, because our families have got to know about the different services we have here. Speech therapy, occupational therapy, equine therapy, sensory integration therapy. It's all here in our backyard, but families don't always know about it. The other part of this is what happens when our kids hit 18. It's a thing that will terrify every one of us parents that are neurodiverse, right? And we do have a bevy of services for that as well, with tons of companies that are looking to hire specifically autistic young adults and other special needs and neurodiverse kiddos once they hit 18 and over. So again, it really means a lot to us. If you guys can be out that event, if you can make it, I know you guys are stretched as thin as it can get, doing as many different events as you can over the weekends, but it'd be a huge honor to the city of Longwood. My wife and I personally as well, if you guys could please attend, and that goes for anybody listening as well. Thank you guys for giving me the time, and thanks for what you do for our county. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner.
On that note, this is a thing that I think I've brought up, and I think several other commissioners are. These are the kinds of things that if we are able to coordinate with our cities to get out on our social media, a calendar of events, so, the community has a place to go look and see what's going to be great. So thank you very much. Who's next, please?
Next will be Tara Lundy and then Michael Haggerty.
Mr. Rolande? Miss Rolande? Tarla? Tara.
Tara.
I'm sorry. Please come on up. You'll have 3 minutes. If you'll state your name and address, please.
Okay, my name is Tara Lundy. My address is 2560 Vineyard Circle, Sanford, Florida. And I just wanted to speak with you all about the aggressive gentrification taking place in Midway. There was a fatal hit-and-run car accident in 2016. Mark Hampton was killed in a hit-and-run on Celery near Sipes. Then in 2020, there was a fatality. 49-year-old Deltona man motorcyclist was killed East Lake Mary and Celery. Then there was another fatality yesterday when I was almost hit by a car speeding through stop sign at Brisson and Celery. I do know that Midway is 94% African American. I've noticed that there's no sidewalks off the streets off of Brisson, and I ride my bike frequently down Brisson, and I've spoken with crossing guards, and they have told me that the speeding is horrible there. That people they fly past Midway Elementary, and I almost got hit yesterday myself. So can we get a light at Brisson and Celery? That's what I wanted to talk about. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And could staff reach out to the sheriff's office in the city of Sanford Police and interact, see if there's something that we can make awareness there? Commissioner Herr, this is your district, so
It
if
is
you
my
could
district,
engage.
and we're in receipt of the email trails that have gone on about this, that quite frankly, we've been in touch with the sheriff's office, we've been in touch with the Sanford Police Department, we've been in touch with Public Works. There's a lot of things that can and can't happen out there. The light at the end of Brisson will not stop the speeding on Brisson, and that's not necessarily the solution, but there's been requests out there for speed bumps, but that's also a problem because of the fire. It reduces the fire department's ability to get to you in time, should there be an emergency, or get into that community in time. It is simply a situation that's a result of the growth that's happening out there, and it's a result of what I would refer to in the 4 years that I've been sitting here. There's a bunch of repeat offenders, because we see that. It is a straight shot road, and it is just right for this. So we need enforcement out there to address this. And then I think our Public Works Department has been out there and looked at this, and I think there needs to be, and we've talked about this 100 times as well, more coordination between Sanford and the county with regard to the developments that are going on out there and how it is that it grows together nicely. But I do appreciate you being here. We are listening to your emails. We are engaging over and over again.
Mr. Chairman?
So thank Commissioner Lockhart.
This is something that I think we've brought up sporadically, and I know, when it's in your neighborhood, that's the neighborhood that matters where the speeding is occurring, but it is occurring in neighborhoods all over this county.
Right.
And we need really to have some type of expectation set of what the process is, that when our offices or our folks hear that there is a habitual problem with speeding, and we've talked about this with the speed bump, with the traffic calming
devices.
That first step of working with the sheriff's office on enforcement is so critical, because what we hear time and time again is that it's enforcement that changes behavior. And if we could find out from the sheriff's office how many traffic units he has on the road, I don't know if he calls them road units or what he calls them, but the
Right.
folks on the motorcycles that hide
Right.
behind the bushes with the speeding gun.
Right.
I don't know that we have a clear understanding of what he has available that can be deployed, given the constant complaints that we have about speeding in neighborhoods.
Good point, and so I can only share my personal experience in my district, because it has been a problem. I suspect all of us have heard from our constituents. In my district, I think in probably 4 or 5 different times, I have contacted the sheriff, some for same location or same roadway area, some different roadway areas. And what we've learned that is occurring, and I don't know the easy answer for this, is they do have the assets to deploy. They have passive ones, as simple as a sign that says, you're speeding or whatever. But enforcement, What typically happens is they'll send out a unit, they'll spend a day or two there, they'll write one or two, and then everybody is in their best behavior. Nothing ever happens. Well, 3 days later, when they're not there, it happens again. So the challenge is, and I guess it's a viable question, do you have law enforcement there 24/7 or during those times to make sure, then I look at, take by example, in part of my district in the city of Oviedo, they always have an officer present and visual along that corridor of 419, Lockwood Road area. So the public is on notice, you don't speed, because they will write you. So I think it's just maybe better coordinating with the sheriff's department on how we get that to that point. I mean, other jurisdictions use speed cameras and send a ticket.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that, for the record.
Right, understood. No, I'm just saying, there's all kinds of things.
There are, and what I am unclear on from the sheriff's office is what their capabilities are and how many units they have and what their coverage capability is across the county, because it's not isolated. And smaller communities, not that Oviedo is a small community, but, smaller cities, they have a smaller geographic area to cover. And so the sheriff has non-contiguous tons of unincorporated area to cover. And so I want to get a better understanding of what are we doing?
Fair enough. Something you can handle?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Constantine.
And I apologize because I say this quite often, but I think it's important to recognize anytime somebody does this or says this, and we always talk about speeding, is that when we do put, law enforcement in those communities or at that road, usually, and I don't have the exact statistics, but about 80% of the people that get ticketed are people that live in the community.
Correct. That's right.
The people that live right down the street, and then we start getting the phone calls, why don't you do something where it's really important instead of,
Ms. Tara?
I understand, I'm just letting.
Ms. Tara, I'm going to give you some latitude because you didn't use all your time.
Sure.
Did you want to make another statement real quickly?
I did just have another question about Commissioner Hare, where she said that lights don't stop speeding, but Celery and Brisson, there's cars, like it's a river of cars going down Celery all the time, and a stop sign, it's just not enough. It's not enough right there. I ride my bike there 4 times a week, and I'm taking my life in my hands out there, man. And
Understood.
You know what I mean? So
Sure.
I just want to live.
No, we appreciate that, and we as commissioners.
Wouldn't stop the speeding on Brisson, it would stop the speeding on Celery.
Yeah, all the speeding. I wish I could stop it all.
Because that's the end of Brisson.
Right.
But I would like to go back to the conversation about enforcement. I'll just use one example. You used one. Somewhere between 24/7 and what we have now is a better answer than where we are now.
Right.
It is very well known that you do not speed on International Parkway.
That's right.
We all know that, because Officer Picklesheimer used to sit up there, City of Lake Mary, and he moves that car up and down that road, and we all know. And now they've even lowered it to 25 miles an hour on the top end of it, even though it is a collector road, and we don't like to lower it to 30 on a collector road. And, there are text strings for those businesses that are there, that the texts go out to all your coworkers that says, P is on the road. So it works. And you know what? I don't care if I get calls from neighbors saying I got a ticket, because the answer to that question is then slow the hell down.
Right.
Because we all have to live here together.
That's
So
right.
we need more enforcement. They only have 2 of the wagons that drag out the thing that says how long. That was the last I heard. Maybe they got more by now, but you can't get that sign deployed out there very easily. We have an issue. We spend a lot of resources in a lot of areas. This is blocking and tackling that we need to have happen.
And when you use an interactive map that's real-time,
Yep.
it tells you every time you get on a certain road, caution, speed trap.
Yep.
Then you're probably about in the right density of enforcement.
Yep.
Or at least presence. So thank you very much, man. We appreciate it. It's well noted, and we'll discuss with the Sheriff's Department. Thank you very much. Okay, next speaker.
And our last speaker is Michael Haggerty.
Haggerty?
Thank you. Michael Haggerty, Lake Louise Drive, Windermere, 9838. I just wanted to follow up on some of the animal situations I talked about before. I visited the shelter with Alan. He gave me a tour. The shelter was in great condition. The people were very pleasant and obviously cared a lot about the work they do. The issue is not one of the people, but maybe the experience and the resources which they have. I look forward to working with Adam, I recently appointed, and hope he can achieve great success. I wanted to touch on some of the things at the last commissioners' meeting I attended. Certain disparaging comments were made about best friends. And I know you don't want to work with best friends, I'm not questioning that, but I would like to make some comments. Firstly, if you look at Charity Navigator, Best Friends is a 99% rating and 4-star charity. They rank number 70 out of 9,000 charities in the country. Pretty significant. I want to address a couple of the comments that certain individuals made. Commissioner Lockhart, you criticized the fact that Best Friends had assets of over $100 million, although I don't really understand what that meant. Humane Society has assets of $361 million. I don't know what the common assets was meant to suggest, but in 2022, Best Friends spent $221 million on animal welfare. You also stated that Best Friends used donor money to build a hotel in the Virgin Islands. I talked to the CEO. There is no hotel in the Virgin Islands, so where that information came from, I have no idea. The investment referred to is with Elliott Management, a financial investment firm. It's a single hedge fund investment of 3% of their assets. Commissioner Hare, at the last meeting, you were credited as being the person who accused Best Friends of being a solution looking for a problem. Well, maybe I can help. The problem, obviously, as we all know, is that Seminole County is killing way too many animals that could be saved. I stated at the previous meeting that in 3 months, 300 to 400 animals would be slaughtered, which you thought was very offensive. You were offended, but I was right. On average, in a 3-month period, 318 animals are killed. In fact, based on shelter records in the last 10 years, 20,000 animals have been killed in this shelter. And that I find offensive. Last year there was a small improvement, and most of that was due to the community CAP program, which Andrea Hobbs pioneered and also did most of the fundraising. Chairman Zembauer, your comment was to claim the Best Friends campaign but was nothing but a fundraising scam, and in fact extortion was the word you used. Once again, I checked, there was no focused fundraising in Seminole County to support the work that they were doing. And then I wonder, well, why are you suggesting that fundraising is bad anyway? I mean, if it's helping save animals' lives. Obviously, there's lots of fundraising, breast cancer, hunger, veterinary, veterans, religion, whatever it is. Pet Alliance raised nearly $3 million in one night at their event in November. Was that a scam? As a parting comment, I would say that if you embrace fundraising at the shelter, you could probably raise $250,000 to invest in animal welfare. Thank you.
Mr. Haggerty, thank you for being here, and I'm not going to indulge you with facts. You're entitled to your opinions, but you're certainly not entitled to your facts, and you don't want me to say in public what I know about this organization, its beginnings, its travels, and all the things that are in plain view. You're from Orange County, correct? You understand what's going on over in Orange County right now? Okay, are you helping with the animal problem solution over in Orange County? What specifically are you doing over there? Okay. Commissioner Lockhart and then Commissioner Herr.
I have on a positive note, World Spay Day advocates spaying or neutering. So it is equitable. I am a little unnerved that they don't call it World Neutering Day.
Right.
But it seems consistent with how we do humans. So.
Apparently.
Commissioner Lockhart.
So I will make sure for the clerk's benefit that my actual words that were stated, and we can go back and look at those, because misrepresenting my public comments is unfortunate when there's a public record that exists and a video. The hotel does exist. I did not suggest that they were using money that was donated for animals to purchase a hotel. I was talking about the assets that would be available, that if this organization wanted to actually help the situation in Seminole County by adopting animals or creating their own shelter here, they had the assets to do it without continuing to badger, belittle, and otherwise misrepresent what this county does.
Great. Anything else?
Just goes on.
Anything else for the good of the order?
No, sir.
County Attorney?
Nothing for me.
We shall be in recess. Thank you all very much.
Just goes on and on.
Adjourned. Sorry.
Because I'm not coming back.
Yeah.